Today on BNI Mid-America TV, it's the Notable Networker Show. These BNI members have been nominated by their peers for doing amazing things, reaching big accomplishments, and actively displaying the giver's gain philosophy. Listen as they share their golden nuggets for networking success. And now your host, Marcy Cascio-Hale.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to BNI Mid-America TV. This is the Notable Networker Show, where we get a chance to talk with our seriously outstanding members and get their insights on business, BNI, and networking. My name is Marcy Cascio-Hale, and I am your host. Today, I have with me Eric Wolff, and Eric is a long-time BNI member. I want to call you a senior almost because of your longevity, but he is in BNI Success Express that meets at St. Peter's City Hall at 8:45 to 10:30. What days do you meet, Eric?
Thursday mornings.
Thursday mornings. He is the attitude adjuster of the group, which I love because that's always good information and it really does shift the mindset. He holds the electrician seat and he is the owner of Wolff Electrical Services. Thank you for coming to the show and welcome, Eric.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you. First thing I want to do, and I do want to talk about this 10-year stint you have in BNI, but I want to talk to you about your business because your business is amazing and it's your namesake. So tell us what you do. What's your business?
Again, like you said, Wolff Electrical Services. We specialize in residential electrical needs, and that's anything from just replacing a simple switch to wiring up the whole house. We can take care of all of that. It also includes, smoke detectors, sometimes data, running data lines throughout the house because everybody's working from home now. So everybody's turned their house into an office. So getting that set up for phone lines, data lines, computer lines, all that fun stuff, TVs. We also do backup generators.
Oh.
Some people do, some people don't. We like to do that. For the longest time, I never wanted to touch swimming pools. So we do above ground swimming pools, but we always said no in the beginning. But since everybody was at home and couldn't go nowhere, the calls for that were just crazy. I was getting one to two calls a week.
Oh, wow.
So we finally had to figure out, okay, let's do them now. Because it's just a little bit different than what my guys are used to, but we got it taken care of, and that's slowed down a little bit in the wintertime, but it will pick back up again in the springtime, guarantee you, because most pool companies are about 3 years behind right now.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I have heard that. So thank you for staying up on that. Now,
Yes.
you mentioned a crew. How many people do you have that work for you?
Currently, I have 4 field technicians and then 1 office manager, which, she's my wife, but she's still the office manager. So I got to make sure that's, don't want to call her a secretary. I'll get beat up.
Well, and I'm sure she does manage the office and manage all of you very well.
Oh, yes.
That's wonderful. I love that you've got, it's kind of a family business and you're committed to excellence, which is amazing. Now I wanted to give you a little bit about your feedback from the nomination that I received. And I always think it's important to point out that just being nominated means other people are paying attention to what you're doing and not just getting the results or seeing the effects. They're actually invested in helping you help other people, and they're taking notice of what you're doing. So I want to point that out because I think it's important. It is a pat on the back and you deserve a pat on the back. So job well done.
Yeah, it's good to get recognized. Yeah.
Well, okay. So I have a couple comments. Eric is gung-ho about BNI. Eric helps his fellow members. Eric makes his teammates feel important and heard. And Eric is invested in BNI and the BNI process, helping others work toward their results. So I think that's pretty awesome. So
Yeah,
how does that make you feel?
well, once, sometimes you get into things and you're like, hey, I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to do the best I can. And then sometimes you get into things and it's just a natural fit.
Mhm.
And that's, 10 years, it wasn't a natural fit in the beginning, but after about the third year, it was very easy. And once I figured out almost anything and everything that happened or could happen or will happen, I just took proactive steps on trying to figure out and learn the processes so I knew what to do. And again, like you said in the beginning, I'm like the elder or the Yoda of the chapter. Yeah, and that's where everybody comes back to me and says, hey, you've been doing this, you do this well. And you're right. A lot of the team members, I try to keep them a part of the team. I'm not the only team member. There's a whole team there that we got to think about. And if you keep them actively engaged all the time, they could be just as good as you or better. And I don't have to always be the only one doing certain things. And that's how I try to train my team and the team members. Let them know. I mean, there's no secrets in BNI. The biggest secret that people like to keep is, how well they're doing sometimes, and sometimes that's not good. Let everybody know what's going on and how you got there, so other people can follow you. That's what's being a true leader, a mentor is all about.
Well, and you said several things that really stuck out to me there. You talked about keeping your teammates involved and engaged. Can you expand on some of the ways that you're able to do that?
Yeah, when like certain roles within BNI itself, you have a membership committee team. Yeah, you're the vice president, but you oversee everything. You don't want to come in with just being like the iron fist, the hammer. It's your way or the highway, and you got to let your teammates, even though certain things or certain ways that things should be done, you got to let them make the mistake and just course correct it a little bit at a time. That way they understand what they did, why it didn't work that way. And when you kind of express like, oh, I would have done it this way, but it's okay, but let's do it this way next time. And then they'll figure it out that, oh, okay. He really cares about how we do things. And it's not just because, I hate that word. Everybody goes, do it my way because. It's like, well, okay.
Well, and I think some people need the path and some people need the why. And they're not necessarily the same people. So I think it's good that you mentor however that member needs you to be.
Yeah, it's if you keep them involved, they want to stay involved. If you just kick people to the curb, because sometimes, I give everybody second chances and third chances. I don't really give up on people. It's really hard for you to leave our chapter because I'll sit down and talk to you and ask you, why do you feel that way? And let's figure out how you got there and get you out of it. And just course correct a little bit. And sometimes people are like, oh, okay, because they get somebody else that cares about what they're doing and not just what I'm doing. So
I love that. I love that you said somebody else cares. And that I think we can make the theme of your show, because it's obvious you care. Having been there 10 years for sure, shows that you have a genuine investment in your team, which is fabulous. Now, I also wanted to ask you a little bit to expound on. You said something earlier that said, and I'm going to paraphrase, it wasn't intuitive at the beginning. And then after a few years, you hit your stride. Can you tell us, share with us what the challenges were and how you overcame those challenges, and what was the reason for having to cross that bridge?
I think the biggest challenge in the very beginning was, I'm kind of one of the founding members of the chapter. I was there when it launched, but there wasn't all the key tools that are available right now. There wasn't mentoring. There
Right.
wasn't a passport to success, things to do and follow and meet with people. There wasn't just a simple BNI Connect app. There wasn't
Mhm.
anything online, to the point that it is now. Back then, it was all paper, handwritten notes. You passed them in, turned them in, and then people had to input the data,
Mhm.
and you didn't have access to that. You didn't, there only 3 people had access to that. So the members were kind of like, hopefully it goes in, and we're taking the word for everything. That was
Right.
one thing. The other thing is some of the key members in the chapter were new themselves. So they weren't experienced. So it was hard for them to teach something that they haven't learned yet.
Mhm.
And you had a lot of help from BNI upper management, but
Right.
even then, sometimes they were strained out enough where they couldn't be everywhere at once. And that's where I had to take the initiative and say, look, I see there's something wrong,
Mhm.
but I don't want to, be like a bull in a china shop and run in and say, this is crazy, I'm taking over. I would just sit back and wait and watch and wait to lead into how can I fix this, or how can I help, or this or
Mhm.
that, or give me the manuals. Let me read the manuals, because there wasn't BNI University. You couldn't just jump on and read everything and listen.
Right.
You had to look through the books.
Mhm.
And, when I had questions, I'd call. And, Virginia got a lot of phone calls.
I think Virginia's used to that, and when she
Yes.
has such an amazing leader, um, I'm sure she doesn't mind taking your call at all.
Yeah. And like I said, after those 3 years of being in there, I kind of bounced around in different leadership roles.
Mhm.
I was vice president once, then attitude adjuster, but I've held every position in the chapter except for secretary treasurer. So, I mean, wasn't officially a president, but I've
Mhm.
taken over the presidential role a lot.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I mean, the only role I really haven't done is the secretary treasurer, and I'm just like,
Well, I'm seeing something on your horizon then. The 21-22 year, I think you're coming up and you're going to be nominated as secretary treasurer.
We'll see.
Don't worry, it's not that.
I like the mentoring role a lot better.
Yeah, well, and you definitely get hands-on and you get to
Mhm.
meet with each person. And I think that's one of the great things about being a mentor is you
Mhm.
actually have an excuse to meet and schedule and have time
Mhm.
with a new person. So
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. Now I'm asking people what their big BNI win is. So what is your big BNI win?
My biggest win was Virginia kept asking me to come on board on the Above and Beyond team.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept saying, I don't know if I want to be that far up the food chain. And it wasn't anything personal. It was just at the time, certain, there was just people that just, you always have your naysayers, and it's just like, wow. But once I figured out what was going on and this and that, I was like, well, and then, Kathy had called me and asked me, it's like, hey, I'd really like you to do this. Would you want to do this and this? Again, it comes back to keeping the team involved and caring about them. Kathy cared enough to ask me more than once to come onto the team. And I was like, all right, there's got to be something here that they need me for, or somebody's pushing me this direction to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And once I did that, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. They need more direction in what I was looking for in the first 3 years that I can provide now for the new people that didn't have that opportunity in the first 3 years. So, and again, I'm a natural mentor in the trade itself. I was an electrical apprenticeship teacher for 7 years. So teaching just comes natural. So mentoring is the part of comes natural. And as long as I have everything and what we need to do, I guarantee the new members coming in that just give me, the 90 days and I'll make sure that you get everything out of it that you're expecting.
Right.
So,
right. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
But, the biggest thing out of that was getting onto the team. Virginia had made one of the meetings about hey, BNI is doing something different this year. They're given the opportunity to go to Thailand.
Wow.
And you meet certain goals and criterias within what you're doing, and we'll help you get there. We'll pay for most of it. And I was like, sign me up.
Wow.
So I did that, and I'm goal oriented. So when I see a checkbox in front of me, you got to get out of the way, because I'm going to figure out how to get that box checked. And I did. And, myself, Virginia, and Victor, we all went to Thailand to represent the U.S. in St. Louis in the international conference. So
nice.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. And is that like a 3-day or 4-day conference?
It was 4 days, but it was stretched out to 6 days. I mean, you can do other things. There
Right.
was the pre stuff, the after stuff, but it was a lot to do, and just getting to meet, people from BNI from 73 different countries was just crazy.
That's
I loved it.
amazing.
I loved just meeting people from, all over Europe, China, Thailand, India. I still have connections to some of those people that we just chit chat every now and then. But
Wow.
yeah, it's fun.
Had you ever been out of the U.S. before?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was just, I like to travel, so it was one easy thing for me to go do. And then the following year was Poland, so myself, Virginia, and Nicole went to Poland. So that was just, and Kathy went also, and it was awesome because I'm a history nut. So just going through some of the areas in Warsaw was just mind blowing for me, because that's, I was there for BNI, but I couldn't wait to to go see the city, to see the city.
And I think everything that you do helps build that intellectual capital. I mean, you're getting all kinds of education on so many different levels that, just attending even a class you wouldn't get. So that's amazing. Yep. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And without that Poland class, there was a training seminar in the Poland class. Well, in Poland BNI, we were there, and Kathy was with me. She was sitting right next to me. And one of the things was, dream, or big dreams, dream big, was the premise of the whole lecture. And it said to quit dreaming about what you want and actually go do what you dream. And I just like, oh, okay. But I have never had a brick and mortar building. I always did all my everything out of the out of my home office. So when I got back in second week in November, I started looking for a building.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I found the building in December, and I bought the building in January. So, and we just moved in this past October. I had the building almost 8 months, but it took that long to get it to where I wanted it to move in. And it wasn't a hurry, but it was the dream portion of what I wanted was there, and I'm already doing it now. So,
wow. Talk about materializing.
but if I wasn't there, I would have probably never had enough motivation to like get up and do this. Yeah, one day I wanted a building, but when was I going to do that?
You actually put it on the radar.
Yep. And I leaned over to Kathy and I told her, I'm going to do that. I'm going to find a building. And she says, okay. And then when we got back and we had our first RSS, I told everybody about it. And I said, I did it. I went and bought a building. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, yeah. And I bet the room just exploded.
Yeah. It was actually when we could meet.
That was, yeah. That's right.
But yeah, like I'm a people person. I like being in front of people. Zoom I love, but it's not my go-to thing.
Right. It's what we use because that's the tool we have available to us.
Yep. And again, we have to make sure every tool that we use in our toolbox is used properly. And sometimes people just aren't doing it right, and they get frustrated. And I go, just stop, dial it back. Look at the tool, what it's used for, why we're using it, and make the best of it right now, because there'll be other tools later that that you can use. But right now we have to do this. And some other people are like, all righty.
Well, I guess that leads me into my next question. And I think you've kind of answered it, but I want to be more specific in my ask is, how has BNI affected your business?
Currently, right now, BNI is probably 50% of my business.
Wow.
It is very easy, especially in my chapter alone, and the construction trades have never slowed down in the past 3 years. If anything, when COVID started last March, it dialed off a little bit for about 2 weeks. And then once everybody got home and settled, it was nuts. We tripled what we usually do from March to like July. We tripled because everybody's home and got to get the check marks, got to get those done because now you're staring at it every day.
Yes, I had lots of check marks we checked on my list too. So yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it just grew so fast. And then my chapter is awesome because, you know, not only the BNI social platform, but all the other social platforms are used within our chapter, and everybody's a part of that. So when one person on one of those social platforms asks for an electrician, within 5 minutes, I'll probably have 5 to 6 referrals from people in my chapter saying, you got to use Wolff, you got to use Wolff, you got to use Wolff. And most of the time when those people call me, finally, they say, I have to use you because you've been referred to me so many times that I would be a fool not to. And I said, well, you know, I still want you to get bids or check out and do your background and stuff. But let me come out, give you an estimate. If you like it, then let's get going. If you don't, feel free to get other estimates. You know, just because I was listed the most on there doesn't mean I'm the right fit.
Right.
So it all depends because we provide certain services and some we don't. So that's why we like to ask.
Well, I think it's awesome because the number, like you said, just because a number of people recommended you didn't necessarily mean you're right for the service. But I love how just the sheer number increased your visibility, which increases your credibility. So they knew whatever they were going to do, they needed to at least talk with you.
Exactly. And I've had other electrical contractors that are, you know, listed sometimes on those pages, you know, because they'll get a referral, 1 or 2, and they've called. They said, Eric, how are you on here so many times from everybody? I'm like, well, provide quality service no matter how small the job is. Your name will always be on this list. Don't set a minimum that you have to go to somebody's house. We're not in a minimum society. We're in a provide me a service, quality service, and respectable service, and you'll never be out of work. And that contractor said the same thing. It's like they got into BNI, and then they started with their side, and now I see them on there just as much as me now. And we have a commitment to each other that you know, they're far out of my little area that I cover, and I'm out of their area. So when they get referrals in my area, they send them to me. When I get referrals in their area, I send them to them. So we have a working relationship like that. Just because we do the same thing doesn't mean we can't work together. We're still providing service to our customers.
You can be competitors and collaborators at the same time.
And that's how BNI makes it, you know, makes it so easy if you understand that it's not all about you. It's about the customer, and it's about taking care of the customer, and how you do that is up to you. But
but if you don't do quality work, you're not going to last too long in BNI either.
Social media can be a blessing, but it can also tear you apart in minutes if you're not careful. So
you have to have integrity, you have to be ethical, and you have to deliver a good product. And
correct.
From everything I've heard about you, Eric, I know that you do check all of those boxes.
We provide 100% guarantee, no matter who's right or wrong with the service. So we'll make it right.
That's wonderful. Now, we are getting close to wrapping up our time here, but I did want to ask you, you know, for people that we have watching, do you have any golden nugget or networking tip or anything that you think is notable to share? Some words of wisdom.
Be a social butterfly, even if you aren't, and get out of your comfort zone, because when you do, that's when it becomes really easy. But when it's not comfortable, that means something is working. You know, don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Don't be hiding in a corner when we go to these meetings or events and this and that. I'm always the first person that looks for somebody hiding in the corner, and I'll just go start chatting with them just because. And that's on a lot of podcasts and a lot of other things through the training and through university. But, you know, I'm that person that just be like, hey, what's going on? How come you're over here? How come you're not over here? What do you do? And I take interest into that person, and then it makes it easy. My wife is the same way. She's, just like, she takes me to places because I'm the one that will open up. Well, she just started her own BNI chapter.
Oh,
So,
congratulations.
yeah. So I put her in that, and so she's learning, and then she's in there with somebody else I know very well. And them two girls they will thrive in that chapter because, they have support in the background, but biggest thing for me is one day at a time, one-to-one at a time. Don't try to do them all at once. Don't try to take care of everybody at the same time. Home in on what you're good at and work on it. That is the easiest way. And, don't be afraid to network. Network everywhere. Anything and everything you do, because right now, anywhere I go, I run into somebody I know. Anywhere. I mean, my wife thought I was nuts. We're in the middle of nowhere in Brazil, in a McDonald's, and I run into somebody I know. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So it's just, and be humble. Be humble to everybody because, life's too short to be mad at people all day long. Whatever happens today, that's today. Tomorrow's a different story. So that's what I try to live by. And I found that out probably about 5-6 years ago and started practicing that. And it's become really easy to grow your business when everybody knows, your heart and what you're saying is coming from the heart. So, and it's not just so you can make money. Making money is the least of my worries. I know it'll be there. It's making those relationships and long-term relationships with people that need me and I need them. So.
Oh my gosh, you had like 20 golden nuggets in that.
I know. I just talk all the time. But.
Well, but that's experience talking, and that's such good information, and it's stuff that I sneeze. Oh, excuse me, almost all the way through it. But that is such good information, and you really just kind of chunked it down to where it's easy to take in, to understand, and to make part of you. So thank you that was amazing. Thank you for those words of wisdom. That was fantastic. Okay. Any final thoughts, Eric?
I mean, if you're new to BNI, find my profile, call me, hit me up, one-to-one, shoot me an email. I mean, the phone's always on, email me or, I will call you back. I'll sit together. We'll get together. We'll figure it out together. I'm always available. I'm not just in this area. I travel all over the place. So, if I got to drive an hour, I drive an hour. It doesn't matter. I just like meeting and greeting with people and, helping businesses grow because mine's grown so much through BNI. I feel that I have to give it back no matter what. So.
Well, and there again is that caring, the overarching word. Your word is caring. I'm giving you a word today. Your word is caring. And thank you. Thank you, Eric, for taking the time with us today. And thank you for sharing these words that go straight to the heart. So we appreciate your time immensely.
No, my pleasure.
And for our viewers, if you would like information on Eric, like he said, he has given you carte blanche to scheduling a one-to-one or reaching out to him. His information will be in the show notes, so feel free to reach out to him for a one-to-one to get information on his business or to get some more information on his BNI experience. And I do want to thank our viewers as well for spending time with us today. Also look out at BNI Mid-America TV for other shows, and make sure you subscribe and share with family and friends, and especially please share with those who want to grow their business. Thanks so much and have a great day.
For more information on how BNI can help you build your business, book your complimentary consultation with Virginia Moose-Keith at discoverbnimitamerica.com. BNI Mid-America TV is brought to you by the Bergman Insurance Group, your trusted source for Medicare information, education, and enrollment. Be sure to check out the show notes for additional information on how to contact today's host or guest about their business, and thanks for watching.